Welcome to the show. I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Ed Lingao.
The big stories this Christmas Day. Fewer Filipinos are happy this holiday season, while Vice President Sara Duterte tries to spread some cheer as she downplays her sliding public ratings and looming impeachment battle.
And what is on the wish list of the armed forces as its modernization program enters what could be the last phase? We asked AFP spokesperson Francel Padilla later on in the program.
And foreign POGO workers have 6 days to pack up and leave, or they face both deportation and blacklisting, according to the BI. We are also talking to BI spokesperson Dana Sandoval in a bit.
Well, Merry Christmas to all of you.
Happy Christmas.
December 25.
Yes.
Well, medyo maulang Pasko ang hinarap ng ating mga kapatid.
How did you celebrate?
In the studio.
In the studio, still working?
With family reunion, at natulog buong araw.
Yan.
Ang sarap magpahinga talaga.
Actually, mas simple yung celebration ng Christmas this year, but nonetheless still happy if it's with your family and loved ones.
Masarap magtrabaho pag Christmas.
Kasi walang traffic.
Walang traffic.
Yeah.
Walang traffic.
Tsaka minsan may libreng pakain.
Meron dito sa Big Story, nagpakain sila.
Yeah, well, as Gretchen did mention, it was a wet Christmas for some provinces of the country, including Metro Manila. And the question on most of those affected is, until when will the rainy weather last? And to answer that, we have Pagasa weather specialist Rhea Torres joining us this Christmas evening. Hi Rhea, Merry Christmas! Bakit nga ba maulan at natapat pa ngayong araw ng Pasko, yung maulan na panahon?
Yes po, good evening po. Good evening po sa ating mga taga-subaybay and Merry Christmas po sa ating lahat. So currently, yung mga pag-ulan po talaga as based po sa ating pagtaya ay ilang araw na din po yan before actual Christmas Day. Na-timingan lang po na on Christmas Day na lumakas pa po siya lalo kaya mas maraming lugar po dito sa ating area sa May Luzon ang nakaranas po ng maulan na panahon. Expected po natin possible by tomorrow ay improving weather conditions. Pero at the very least, hanggang ngayong gabi po, dito po sa Metro Manila, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, as well as Bicol Region, Eastern Visayas, expected pa rin po yung mga pagulan dulot po ng epekto nitong shear line. And yung amihan naman po ay magdudulot pa rin ng mga light to moderate na mga pagulan dyan po sa Cagayan Valley, pati na rin po ng Cordillera Administrative Region. Sa may bahagi naman po ng Mindanao, possible naman po yung mga pag-ulan dulot po nitong Intertropical Convergence Zone. So in total, tatlong weather systems po sa kasalukuyan yung nakaka-apekto sa ating bansa. Possible din po yung mga pag-ulan dyan po sa Northern Mindanao, sa Caraga, Davao Region, ganyan din sa Soc-Sargen. And for the rest of the country, generally fair weather, except na lang po yung mga panandalian na buhos ng ulan. So gaya po na nabanggit natin kanina, possible starting tomorrow ay improving na po yung weather conditions over large portions po ng ating bansa, except na lamang po dito sa may eastern sections ng Northern and Central Luzon, pati na rin sa Quezon, dulot pa rin po na patuloy na epekto nitong shear line.
Okay, Rhea, parang buong bansa na yung nabanggit mo ah. Ano nga ba yung mga lugar na lang na walang ulan sa ngayon?
Yes po. So, yung areas po na mga karanas na fair weather or generally fair weather ay dito po sa Ilocos Region na umiiral pa rin po yung amihan, pero mga mahihina mga pagulan na biglaan lamang po or mahinang pag-ambon rather na biglaan na lang yung mararanasan. At for the rest of Visayas and Mindanao, dyan po sa Central and Western Visayas, pati na rin po sa Negros Island Region, and then yung western portions po ng Mindanao, dyan po sa may Zamboanga Peninsula, at ilang bahagi po ng BARMM, yun po yung nakakaranas lamang ng mga panandalian na buhos ng ulan.
Ma'am, nabanggit niyo po yung shear line. In layman's language po, ano po ang ibig sabihin ng shear line? Natanong ko yan po kasi kung hindi yung sasagutin yan, sasabihin ko, it's Christmas, it's the season of shearing. Kaya dito yung ulan na yan. Pero ano po yung shear line?
Yes po, so yung shear line is yung usual na terminology po natin, weather system, na nararanasan po yan during time po ng amihan season. So the moment na mag-onset po tayo ng amihan, most likely yan po yung simula din ng pag-iral ng shear line. At itong weather system po nito, depende po sa kanyang intensity, pero nagdudulot po ito ng mga pag-ulan, mostly dito po sa eastern sections ng bansa. So yung shear line po, nagsasalubong po dyan yung malamig at mainit na hangin dahil po yan sa presence ng amihan. Yan po yung source ng malamig na hangin. At yung mainit naman po na hangin na nakakasalubong nitong malamig na hangin nanggagaling po sa dagat Pasipiko, yan po yung easterly. So yung boundary po kung saan po sila nagsasalubong, dyan po nabubuo yung makakapal na kaulapan. Kaya naman over the last few days ay nakakaranas po ng mga tuloy-tuloy na mga pagulan, especially po dito sa may areas ng Bicol region, gayon din sa may Eastern Visayas. So hindi lamang po LPA or bagyo posible po magdulot ng ganitong kalakas na mga pagulan, possible din po yung mga weather systems po na gaya ng shear line.
Well, Rhea, ilang araw na lang ang natitira sa 2024. Mukhang may iba pa bang sama ng panahon na tatama sa Pilipinas. Magiging maulan ba sa pagsulubong natin ng bagong taon next week?
For now po, nakikita natin na magpapatuloy pa rin po yung shear line or yung epekto ng shear line. More on dito po sa eastern sections ng northern na central Luzon, particularly dyan po sa may Cagayan, Isabela area as well as sa may Aurora. So yun po yung nakikita natin na makakaranas pa rin po na epekto nitong shear line. Pero yun po, starting tomorrow ay possible po na mag-improve na yung weather conditions, yung mga areas po sa kasalukuyan na nakakaranas po ng mga pagulan. At ayon po sa ating pagtaya, sa nakikita po natin, ay wala pa po tayong namamataan na LPA o bagyo na posible pong maka-apekto sa ating bansa at the very least for the next 2 to 3 days. Pero based po sa ating latest na threat potential forecast or yung possibility na may mabuong LPA o bagyo sa mga susunod na linggo, possible po within the next week or the first week of January. So hanggang matapos po yung taon ay wala pa po tayong nakikita na posible pong makaka-apekto sa bansa.
Rhea, in short, I guess, no, para sa mga nagbabalak magpaputok, sila ba ay advisean mo na bumili o wag na lang? Pagpaliban na lang? Kasi may ulan eh.
Baka DOH tanong mo dun.
Yes po. So, currently, nakikita po natin, medyo may kalayuan po kasi yung New Year. So, possible na magbago po yung scenario. At the very least po, dito sa may area ng Cagayan, medyo bad idea na po. At baka ulanin po tayo dahil sa shear line.
Ma'am, pero pahabol lang, is there any cause for concern in any area of the country because of this shear line? I'm talking in terms of, large volumes of rain coming down in any particular area.
Yes po. So, actually, the past few days po, especially dito po sa may Bicol region, if magpatuloy pa rin po yung mga pag-ulan dulot po ng shear line, ay masyado na pong saturated yung mga kalupaan po natin. So, very susceptible po yung mga areas malalapit po sa bundok dahil medyo malambot na po yung kalupaan. So any more volume of rainfall na bumagsak po dyan, maaari magdulot po ng mga landslides. So as much as possible po ay makipag-coordinate po tayo sa ating mga disaster risk reduction management offices kung kinakailangan na pong umalis sa ating mga areas. And especially po yung mga areas din po na flood prone. Although nakikita po natin na medyo mag-i-improve na po yung conditions by tomorrow, kung possible pa rin po na babahain, ay as much as possible po ay kumilos na rin po tayo.
Huwag natin i-underestimate itong shear line kasi naalala ko itong taon na ito, merong parang yun yung nag-cause ng matinding pagbaha eh. Hindi ko maalala kung ano yung exactly na...
Bagyo.
Hindi, kasi parang shear line ng bagyo. Shear tama ba? Hindi ko maalala. Basta
Well, Bicol region din yun.
Parang gano'n nga. So, pinagdadasal po natin yan at sana, wag naman sana, ay magkaroon ng matinding dulot itong shear line na binabantayan natin ngayon, pati 3 weather systems na iyong nabanggit. Okay?
Alright, maraming salamat para sa update na yan at Merry Christmas po sa inyo. That was Pag-asa Weather Specialist, Rhea Torres.
Well, not connected with the gloomy weather today, but according to the latest social weather survey, fewer Filipinos felt Christmas 2024 will be a happy one. From 73% in 2023, the number of Filipinos who expected a truly Merry Christmas celebration dipped to 64% this year. Now, despite this, the survey also showed that Filipinos still have a lot to be thankful for this season. Most are thankful for good health, 25% are thankful for family, while 24% are simply happy to be alive.
And over in Davao City, thousands who were hoping to have something extra to eat or spend this Christmas Day lined up for the Duterte family's annual gift-giving tradition. Bril Mondalvo has that story.
These people started waiting in line in the wee hours of Christmas morning. The reason, the Duterte family's tradition of handing out Christmas gifts to people in Davao City. We found Nanay Lulita napping in the queue. She's been waiting in line since 1 o'clock in the morning.
Naanad mo ng linya din, naanad mo linya ba? Di sa kang Digong, kang Duterte, pinaskuhan ni Mayor ni President ni Rodrigo Duterte.
So first time mo karon dili?
Kadua ra.
Miriam, who's from Padada, Davao del Sur, had her 4-month-old in tow.
Alas 12:30, ma'am. Sa humama, ma'am.
So first time mo karon?
Yes, ma'am. Experience lang unsay madawat ron. Gidala na ako, ma'am, kay nagtyaga lang pila.
The line to the Duterte ancestral house reportedly reached 3 kilometers long. Authorities had to step in to tighten security. The gift giving officially started at 4 a.m. Each one who lined up received a food pack with rice, canned goods, cash, and a gift certificate. Former President Rodrigo Duterte and his daughter Vice President Sara themselves led the distribution.
Nakadawat og pinaskuhan gikan ka mayor.
VP Sara took selfies and even gave prizes to those who won their parlor games. All in all, more than 25,000 were able to receive the gift packs. VP Sara defended the initiative, which she said had nothing to do with her sliding trust and approval ratings. In the November 26 to December 3 poll of Pulse Asia, she was down 12 percentage points from her ratings in September.
Magpadayon gihapon ang ang opisina, ang Office of the Vice President, and of course ako sa pagserbisyo sa ato ang mga kababayan ug paniguraduhon namo nga amo pang mas pakusgon ang amo ang mga proyekto para sa ato ang mga kaigsuonang Pilipino.
Meanwhile, on the 3 impeachment complaints filed against her in Congress, VP Sara says her legal team is already prepared for that. Among them is former President Duterte.
He'll be one of the lawyers for all the cases mo yang ginaingon, and he's preparing his documents karon sa IBP so that he can sign as a lawyer of good standing.
VP Sara also reiterated that she did not violate any law, and there was nothing illegal in the Department of Education and the Office of the Vice President's confidential funds spending under her watch.
Well, I am confident that I did not break any law. I did not do anything illegal. Pero syempre sa makita nato karon na murag wala na may rule of law, no? So pag naang kaso, amo alang gihapon ato bangon.
For News 5, I'm Bril Montalvo. We are One News.
All right, we're pausing for a quick break, but up next, what improvements can we expect for the Armed Forces of the Philippines in 2025? We'll discuss this with AFP spokesperson Francel Padilla when we return. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News. The Philippines and China are again engaged in a word war. This time over Manila's plans to acquire a U.S. medium-range missile system. The Chinese embassy in Manila is calling out Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro. Teodoro justified the deployment of Typhoon missile assets in the context of joint exercises as, quote, legitimate, legal, and beyond reproach. He was reacting to a Chinese government spokesperson's opposition to missile deployment and even slammed the Communist Party of China's continuous building of nuclear and ballistic missile arsenal. In response, Beijing says it condemns Teodoro's malicious attack, calling his statement, quote, an unjust accusation filled with ideological bias based on bloc confrontation and the Cold War mentality. The Chinese embassy also slammed the Typhoon system's deployment in the Philippines and called for its immediate pullout. And as promised, joining the big story tonight is Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla, spokesperson of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. A Merry Christmas to you. Welcome back to the big story.
Good evening, Sir Ed,
Good
Ma'am
evening po.
Gretchen, and Ma'am Pauline, and thank you for having us here. Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas.
Colonel Francel, hindi tayo pinatawad, no? Kahit Pasko ay talagang may mainit ang tensyon sa pagitan ng Defense Ministry ng dalawang bansa. I wanted to get first your reaction to this word exchange and the latest statement of the spokesperson of the Chinese Embassy in the Philippines saying that the Defense Secretary impedes and obstructs mill-to-mill contacts and exchanges between China and the Philippines, saying that the president's stance on wanting the escalation and more dialogue is in contrary to the words of the Defense Secretary. What would you have to say? What does the AFP have to say about that?
For the Armed Forces of the Philippines, ma'am, no, we're looking at all of this being part of our modernization program. There is no single entity or a foreign nation who can dictate how we would be fortifying our defenses. So kung ano po yung plans natin to fortify our defenses as a nation, wala pong dapat na mag-intervene on how we would be doing it.
Well, actually, when you think about the range of the Typhoon missile system, it does look like an area defense system. In other words, it's not so much an offensive system as it's more of a defensive system, kumbaga. But I think the questions being raised by some people is, does it have to do with the defense of the Philippines or does it have more to do with the defense of, for example, Taiwan? Kasi minsan may ganung usapin na ito ba'y para sa Pilipinas o ito ba'y para doon sa kaalyado ng US na ang Taiwan?
For us, sir, kung ano man po ang modernization projects no, na nandyan for the Armed Forces of the Philippines, is for the defense of the Philippines. So lahat yan, sir, we're looking at modern warfare and kung ano po yung present na challenges that we are facing. No? And we are actually, nag-a-adjust tayo to the modern times kung ano po yung mga dapat po nating harapin in terms of our defenses. So lahat po yan, how we look at the things, no, how we would be modernizing the Armed Forces of the Philippines, kasama po lahat yan, no, in our lineup. So with the modernization projects, sir, if we're looking at 37 projects in total, it's divided into 5 capability partitions. So ito naman, sir, meron tayong cyber systems doon. We have the subsystems and support systems. And we also have air interdiction capabilities lined up, surface and subsurface systems, and finally po, itong missile and counter-missile systems. Lahat po ito kasama sa modernization projects that we have been, through the years po, talagang we're trying to modernize the Armed Forces of the Philippines with the different Horizon projects. And nasa Horizon 2 na po tayo ngayon, and we are looking at Horizon 3 with all of these systems and the subsystems that are going to be in place.
May dadagdag ko lang dun sa sinabi ni Ed, kasi if you take a look at the range of the Typhoon missile system, it is at 480 kilometers or 300 miles. And if you compute the distances, ito ay enough to reach, let's say, Scarborough Shoal. It is enough to reach the 200 nautical mile EEZ of the Philippines. But if you put it over in Batanes, it is only enough to reach Taiwan, but not Beijing or not China or not even Hong Kong. Medyo malayo, ano? Won't this be a trigger point because of the Taiwan in the equation?
As I said, ma'am, no, in the Armed Forces of the Philippines, we're looking at all of the geopolitical tensions that we are facing right now and how we would be fortifying our defense as a nation. So lahat po ito, as our promise is to maintain our sovereignty, with that. Kaya nga po ang ating Armed Forces of the Philippines, we are modernizing. And over and above that, kasama po yan pati yung capabilities natin. That's why we are doing all of these trainings with like-minded nations. And ito pong mga capabilities na ito, kasama rin po ito sa tinitrain natin na pwedeng i-handle ng ating sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas.
Okay, well, Colonel, Defense Secretary Teodoro actually also called out China for its development of nuclear and ballistic missile capability. He said, quote, if the CCP is criticizing the modest capability development of the Philippines, well, they are also continuously building their own missile weapons. Can you elaborate more on this? What do we know about China's building of missile weapons right now?
Ang alam naman po natin, kung ano po yung mga features that are being occupied within the South China Sea po ng China, and also we are able to detect different assets that they have within the area po. So tinitingnan po natin dyan yung mga kung ano po yung mga ships that are there in the area, kung ano din po yung capabilities nito. While we do not discuss operational matters and of course our intelligence gathering, rest assured po that the Armed Forces of the Philippines is also upgrading our capabilities. That's why nga po we are able to detect the presence of foreign nations in our exclusive economic zone. And dito nga po, magka-partner ito, yung capabilities upgrade natin and our modernization projects looking at kung ano din po yung how we would be strengthening our defenses in the process of looking at also the different equations.
Ma'am, go ahead.
Ma'am, we're certainly happy that modernization is moving along. I mean, it's been a while. I mean, nabutan mo kasi namin yung Huey na medyo kakarag-karag eh. But anyway, so it's really good that we've been modernizing. But my question to you is this looking at the BICAM report, at least yung pinasa ng BICAM committee, we don't know yet kung saan patungo kasi we're waiting for the President to sign the final budget. But the BICAM report, as it is, removed 5 billion pesos from the modernization budget of the AFP from 40 billion, naging 35 billion. We don't know kung ibabalik yun o hindi. But I'm wondering lang how that will affect our modernization, considering na I think it's going to be the last phase na, di ba? Is it Horizon 3 already coming in?
Yes or no, it's Horizon 3. Kasi binago nga po, no? Tinignan natin, it's gonna be more geared and heavier po towards our maritime assets, improving of our maritime assets, aerial assets, and cybersecurity. Ito nga po, dumaan nga po ito no, from 50 billion, meron pong 10 billion na na-reduce. But ngayon po, ibumalik po siya, sir. So we're really looking at the approval nga po, itong final po na budget namin for 50 billion in our modernization projects.
Hey, Colonel, meron po ba kayong figure as to how much this Typhoon missile system, and are we sure, I mean, just to get the specifics out, yung mismong ipinadala dito sa Pilipinas, yung i-acquire po natin?
No, I don't have the actual figures as to how much it would cost. And also po, with the modernization projects, we defer that to the Department of National Defense until such time po that it is fully turned over to the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Can we discuss po yung yung mismong capability? Because syempre ma'am, no, it will run through the normal process, and in that event po, there can be still changes kung ano po yung capabilities po ng mga i-acquire natin.
Pag-uusapan kasi namin, Colonel, pagka yung galing sa US, parang second hand na, baka mas mura nating makuha, di ba?
Siyempre, ma'am, tinitingnan po natin what is the best options for the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Kaya nga po tayo nagmo-modernize. Gusto po talaga natin no, na maging at par itong mga equipment and capabilities that we are acquiring. And we're looking at the best options out there. And we trust po na yung ating mga technical working groups will really be doing their share sa pag-procure po, no, yung kung ano po yung nararapat sa ating Horizon 3 projects.
Ang iniintay ng marami is what's next after the lead-in fighter trainer ng FA-50. We've all been waiting whether we're acquiring the F-16s or the Saabs or the Gripen. So medyo nabitin kami dun eh. Any idea where we're headed right now? Are we headed for the F-16 or are we headed for a more reasonable budget fighter jet?
As I said, sir, no, we cannot discuss pa po yung mga exact capabilities until such time po na turn over siya sa Armed Forces of the Philippines. But rest assured po that we want the best for the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And we have already submitted our wish list kung ano man po yung mga requirements para po ma-upgrade ang capabilities ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas, both in maritime, as ito nga po, geopolitical tensions, as we move from internal security operations to territorial defense. So upgrades po ito on maritime, aerial, and cybersecurity po. Ito po yung magiging heavy natin. And of course, ito pong mga detection capabilities natin, i-enhance po natin.
But why would it take 2 years to get the budget for the Typhoon missiles? Can you run us through the process of acquiring and getting budget and actually having it turned over to the AFP?
Yun naman po, meron talaga itong normal na process na dinalaan. So meron po tayong technical working groups. They will do their background research and everything, no? Lahat po, all the documentary requirements. And of course, titingnan din po natin market research kung ano po lahat ng iba't ibang options out there. As I said, ang pipiliin natin kasi yung best option for us. Over and above that, as we move towards territorial defense, tinitingnan natin yan with all the exercises that we're conducting with the interoperability and integration of capabilities with like-minded nations na rin po pagka mga ganyan. So marami pong proseso na dinadaan into the equation. And of course, as I said, ito nga po, we defer that to the Department of National Defense kasi doon po talaga ito on the policy level na po, no? In the final acquisition kung ano po yung mare-recommend from the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And until such time nga po na ma-turn over siya sa amin, then we will discuss fully po the capabilities that we have acquired.
How many years are you looking at in total?
I cannot really say, ma'am, no, kasi ang proseso po paiba-iba yan. Meron po kasing intricacies dyan eh. Sometimes with the delivery, lalo na mga ano po to, no, defense equipment. So may iba't ibang proseso rin po even for the transport of this equipment po.
Ma'am, pahabol na lang. More of boots on the ground naman to. There was an earlier announcement by a congressman that they approved 17 billion for subsistence pay of soldiers, going from 150 pesos per day to 350 pesos per day. Substantial increase daw. I think it's from 4-5 per month, magiging 10-5 per month. More or less yun. First of all, I'd like to confirm kung meron ang ganon na nangyari. Kasi nga, we just heard this from a politician. So we want to confirm first if that really is true, if there was such a movement, and what that effect would have on the people on the ground.
Yes, sir. No, this was announced na nga po, and we are really very thankful from the Armed Forces of the Philippines that nakita po, no, yung ating heroism and sacrifice, especially those who are personnel who are in the field. And so ang bawat sundalo, marine, airman, and sailor are very, very very thankful for this. And ang ano po natin dyan, this will take effect by next year, and we're really hoping po na tuloy-tuloy po itong suporta po na ibinibigay sa ating mga tropa from the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Nabulo ko sa yung 60 pesos per day. 20 pesos per meal.
I want to get to know how the AFP is right now. I mean, Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner said there was no loyalty check happening amid the political conflicts that we are seeing. How is the AFP now amid all the political noise?
Yes, ma'am. No, we are saying that for each member of the AFP, it's country, not color. So hindi po tayo na nagpapadala dito po sa ingay po ng politika, and we remain loyal to the flag, to the Constitution, and to our chain of command. Ito po yung what we adhere to. And mataas po ang state ng moral ng bawat miyembro po ng Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas as the latest of the survey has come out. And lumabas po dyan, ang ating Air Force and ang ating Army, napakataas po ng rating. Ang Sandatahang Lakas ng Pilipinas po, we have 8 out of 10 Filipinos who trust the AFP, and 7 out of 10 Filipinos are willing to fight with the AFP. And this is actually what fuels us to go on and perform our missions. So kung makita nyo po, with this Yuletide season, ang ating mga sundalo po, lalo na sa ating mga features, they're away from their families. But ito pong pagsilbi nila para sa ating bayan is to make sure that we continue to enjoy the democracy that we have, the freedom that we have, and of course for the rest of the Filipino people to enjoy the Yuletide season as well.
The AFP and also the PNP was put on high alert because of the quote-unquote kill threat of the Vice President to the President. Bumaba na po ba yan? Back to normal na? At may conclusion na po ba tayo sa mga investigation on the death threat on the Vice President's life, as well as yung parang hired killer daw or hired gunman?
Ma'am, regardless naman po of that report, we are on heightened alert because of the holiday season. And of course, meron din po tayo tinitingnan dyan na pinatapos na po natin yung ating internal security operations. And over and above that, we also have our natural disasters that we're looking into. Ito pong Kanlaon. So talaga pong heightened alert tayo. Tuloy-tuloy po ang operasyon, ang ating internal security operations that we are conducting all throughout. Hindi po tayo titigil dyan. So we have a target up till next year, end of next year, we will be fully transferring this to law enforcement na po, as ito nga po ng ating insurgency problem. Tinitingnan natin that they are anti-government, anti-development, and anti-people. And hindi po papayagan ng AFP na magpatuloy pa po ito. Kaya po itong gains po natin, we will sustain them and continue on with our internal security operations, come what may.
no ceasefire during the holiday season as declared by the AFP. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining us on Christmas Day. A Merry Christmas to you. Maraming salamat sa inyong serbisyo, AFP spokesperson, Colonel Francel Margaret Padilla.
Taking another quick break, but right after that, what's next for non-Filipino POGO workers when the deadline for them to leave the country expires on December 31st? We'll discuss this with immigration spokesperson Dana Sandoval when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News.
Foreign POGO workers who refuse to leave the Philippines before the end of the year will face deportation. According to the Bureau of Immigration, blacklisting and deportation proceedings will promptly start on the first day of 2025. The BI is no longer extending the December 31 deadline for non-Filipino POGO staff to pack up and go as part of the Marcos administration's blanket ban on offshore gaming. Of the estimated 33,000 POGO workers in the country, 21,000 have already downgraded their Philippine visa, while about 6,000 are still here.
Let's talk about this some more with our next guest. For tonight, we have Bureau of Immigration spokesperson Dana Sandoval. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the big story.
Hi, good evening, and Merry Christmas to all of you.
Okay. Dana, we heard some numbers in that report. 33,000 POGO workers, 21,000 have downgraded their visas, 6,000 have not. What is our latest update on that? How many have left the Philippines already?
Yes, we're expecting that this 6,000 foreign nationals will be leaving before December 31. So by now, we believe maybe around half that has left the country. There's still time for them to leave the country up until December 31, but there will be no extensions. We would like to stress this. There is no extensions for the departure of those who used to work for online gaming companies here in the Philippines.
So yung 21,000 that have downgraded their Philippine visas, they have already left the Philippines?
Majority of them have left already. As of the second week of December, our figures is there are still around 6,000 of those who have downgraded who have not yet left the country.
Well, ma'am, there's only less than a week left before December 31. Did you notice a significant outflow of these non-Filipino POGO workers in airports, in seaports?
Yes, there are a lot of them who are leaving and trying to catch the December 31 deadline. They have actually, during the application for their downgrading, they have actually presented their outbound tickets already, and we're expecting them to leave in the next few days. There are still a handful that are yet to depart this week, but we're hoping that all of them, if not most of them, leave by December 31.
Ma'am, it's good to know that you have pretty good numbers there, but I would imagine, but correct me here if I'm wrong, I would imagine that your problem is not those you have counted, but those you have not counted. Ibig sabihin yung mga illegals. I suppose kasi itong mga binabanggit yung mga numbers, ito yung mga illegal, ito yung mga legal, registered, and known POGO workers. Our problem has, for the longest time, been those who are underground. I'm wondering if we have any kind of estimate as far as they are concerned.
Well, it's hard to make an estimate when it comes to the illegal foreign nationals. But what we noticed is that since the legal online gaming companies have closed down shop and online gaming is not being tolerated already in the country, we've noticed that some of those illegal aliens are trying to spread out their operations instead of the usual big companies with thousands of foreign national employees. They've downgraded they've changed their modus operandi to having smaller operations, like in residential, more dispersed in residential areas. And instead of the usual thousands or hundreds, it's just 10 or less per area. So it's harder for people to detect that, and it's even not a red flag for the community in that area. Like even the neighbors wouldn't be bothered by just a handful of foreign nationals in the area. So they're trying to be more discreet in their operation. So that's what we're targeting now, together with PAOK, together with other local law enforcement agencies, is to target those smaller illegal online gaming companies. Because with the legal ones, we are just monitoring. Essentially, we're monitoring their departure, and we believe that since they work here legally, they will be compliant and following our laws enough to leave the country also in legal ways.
But I can imagine nga na mas mahirap yung trabaho nyo ngayon because the big ones, you're looking at bigger infrastructure, bigger facilities, so mas obvious eh. When you look at the smaller ones that have been devolved from these bigger ones, you're looking at possibly isang kwarto lang sa isang condominium or and so on down the line. And you're looking at also more targets that you have to look after or look out for. What's your strategy here? How do you plan to go about this?
Yeah, they're doing things underground already, trying to hide their operations instead of the bigger ones. So what we're doing right now, if you've noticed, is we've been partnering with local law enforcement, with PAOK, with other government agencies, especially the local government units. You know, the LGUs really is a big help in locating the smaller operations, because the LGUs would see if there are any major changes in their areas, in the small barangays that are under their jurisdiction, and are able to report that to us. If we see any kind of suspicious activity of foreign nationals in their area, then that is when we swoop in and conduct investigations and arrests.
Okay, ma'am. Well, are all these foreign individuals who were deported, are they already barred from returning to the Philippines? Who are allowed to return to the country? Will they be flagged? Because we are seeing in some of the video materials, yung iba sa kanila parang may naiwang mga partners or mga anak. So, can they still return?
The big difference between those who have been working here legally versus those who are working illegally is that those who work here legally and have downgraded their visas and will leave the country or have left the country before the December 31 deadline are not blacklisted. So if they, for example, like the one that you mentioned earlier, they have families here already, because we've heard nga some have families here already, then they are not blacklisted. They may still return to the Philippines if they have legitimate reasons to come back to the country. But the case is different for those who legally work in the country but do not leave by the December 31 deadline. They will be blacklisted in the same way as those who work here illegally are being blacklisted.
Okay. Ma'am, if you don't mind, kakambila ako ng saglit. Bit of a different topic. Noong December 4, the immigration the immigration commissioner said that Attorney Harry Roque will face investigation and possibly be charged by the BI for illegally exiting the country. That was the time when Harry Roque had this counter affidavit affirmed by Abu Dhabi, by the Abu Dhabi consulate. So apparently he's already abroad, but there is no record of the BI of him ever having left the country. In other words, the BI commissioner was saying, illegal siyang lumabas dahil wala siyang papeles. I'm wondering, kasi that was 3 weeks ago, I'm wondering if there is any update on that, whether or not the BI has found reason to file charges against Attorney Harry Roque and company.
The investigation is still ongoing. There are leads already, but I'm not at liberty to give information on that just yet. But we need to see first the travel documents that Attorney Harry Roque used to see if there are any falsifications that have been done in the document. During the discussion about this incident, our legal team were thinking on possible cases that could be filed against them. And one thing that they have noted is that there is no specific law saying that it is illegal for a Filipino to depart the country without going through immigration or without going to the proper channels. So what we are no specific law penalizing that. It's crazy, right? It's crazy to hear that.
Well, thanks
so
for
there's
pointing that
no
out.
law penalizing that. Diba?
Yes, ma'am.
How ridiculous does that sound? There's no law penalizing that. That is why we are looking into filing cases against him for possible related offenses, like perhaps falsification of travel documents, or maybe he falsified an immigration stamp or something. But the fact that the illegal departure of a Filipino has no specific law and has no specific punitive action is, I think, something that could be changed. So in the long term or in the bigger picture, so we can change something to prevent such incidents from happening in the future.
Ma'am, pero what's the chance of Tony Harry Roque even surrendering his travel documents because that would possibly incriminate him? All he has to do is refuse.
We're very hopeful. We hope that during the investigations being done by our lawmakers would compel him to submit his documents, and during the possible cases that may be filed against him, it could be part of the things that could be subpoenaed.
Okay.
Well, we will get back to you for updates on that for certain.
Salamat, ma'am.
But in the meantime, a Merry Christmas to you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have immigration spokesperson Dana Sandoval. In other news, people flock cinemas on the kickoff of the 50th Metro Manila Film Festival today. Also, PBA fans are in for a double treat on Christmas Day as audiences get the chance to watch not just their favorite team, but the much talked about MMFF entry, The Kingdom, as well. We have Evan Tarinque, our mobile journalist, and he is reporting to us live from the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Evan, how's the situation there? At sa mga sinehan on Christmas Day, packed action indeed.
Gretchen, kahit nga tuloy-tuloy yung pagbugso nga ng ulan dito sa Metro Manila, ay talagang patuloy na dinagsanga itong opening day ng Metro Manila Film Festival dito nga sa mga sinehan dito sa Metro Manila, especially nga sa may isang sinehan sa may Mandaluyong, no? Lahat ng movies talagang may pila at talaga, especially nga doon sa may isa pang talagang tumatak na pelikula para sa ilang manonood ay ito nga The Kingdom na simula pa lang ay meron nang nakapila for the next screening, no? Hindi pa tapos yung period na pinapanood. May nakapila na kaagad para sa susunod na screening, no? Meron ding mga movies na sold out agad hanggang sa kanilang last full show, no? So, talagang mapapansin natin talagang dinagsa itong opening day ng Metro Manila Film Festival ngayong araw. So far, no, kinukulit pa raw ang data regarding sa may box office earnings ng mga pelikula ngayon. So, patuloy nating antabayanan kung ano ba yung magiging estimate na kikitain ng mga pelikula sa ngayong taon. Gretchen?
Evan, since nandyan ka na sa Araneta, alam naman natin, tradisyon talaga para sa ilang pamilya na manood ng Christmas game, Manila Clasico, between Barangay Ginebra, of course, and the Magnolia Hotshots. Nagdagsaan din ba yung mga tao this year to watch that game? At ano na ba yung score? Sino nang lamang?
Tama ka dyan, no? Tuloy-tuloy nga, isa nga talaga sa pinupuntahan ng ilang mga kapatid natin tuwing Pasko ay manood nga ng basketball dito nga sa Smart Araneta Coliseum. Lalo na kaninang umaga, ang first game natin ay Converge Fiber Xers kontra Meralco kung saan Converge ang nag-uwi ng panalo, no? Ngayon naman, patuloy na pinaglalabanan ng Barangay Ginebra at Magnolia Hotshots, no? Ito talaga to sa classic na rivalry sa Philippine basketball. Kanina lamang at the half of Magnolia, 55-41. At aabangan pa rin natin kung sino nga ang mananalo maya-maya lang. Gagaya ng pag-abang natin sa mga tickets na ipinamigay dito kanina sa may Smart Araneta Coliseum, no? Nakarinig tayo, mahigit 200 tickets ang ipinamigay para makapanood nga nitong The Kingdom screening sa mga Cineplex dito sa may Cubao.
O Ivan, meron ka bang idea kung saang sinehan ang pwede kaming pumuslit? Kung sakasakaling naghahanap pa kami ng opening. Ano ba yung mga hacks dyan para makapanood kami dahil fully packed ngayong araw?
Gretchen, no? For tonight, actually, check ko, gusto ko nga rin actually manood pa ng sine pagkatapos nga nitong ating oras. No? Pero titingnan pa natin kung ano pa ba yung mga online dahil nga marami sa mga sinihan ay talagang full pack, jam pack at halos wala ka na talaga mabiling ticket sa mga pelikula for this year's Metro Manila Film Festival. No? Nag-level up din kasi yung mga entries for this year's, no? Karina, nasa base doon sa nakausap natin, no? Isa nga talaga sa tumatak sa kanila itong The Kingdom, no? Dahil nga si Bossing Vic Soto ay ibang role naman ang kanyang ginanap, no? Ibang role, no? Hindi siya the usual na ating napapanood na Bossing Vic na comedy. Ngayon ay nasa isa siyang seryosong role for this movie, kaya naman talagang inaabangan ito ng mga moviegoers ngayong taon.
Well, Evan, pati ang bossing natin dito, si MVP ay mukhang natuwa rin. Nag-post siya kanina, sabi niya, The Kingdom is a must movie to watch. Great acting by the protagonist and supporting cast. Good directing, thrilling plot, and subplots. Mukhang talagang aabangan natin yan. In the meantime, maraming salamat, Evan Tarinque, for bringing us the action over there at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. A Merry Christmas to you. Ito, may hack to eh. Kung paano makakapanood eh.
Sir Ed?
Ano may hack mo?
Anong hack? Hindi ko alam.
Last screening ba? Ano bang hack?
Hindi, iba-iba yan. Sa online.
Sa online.
Wala ko sinabing gano'n. Ay talaga Totrouble niya pa ako. Hintay ko na lang yung Crispa Toyota game. Sige.
Crispa Toyota. All right, well, on that note, Merry Christmas to everybody. That's the big story for us this Wednesday.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thanks for tuning in on Christmas Day. Have a good night.